Welcome back to my channel, SteveO the Window Cleaner. Today we are going to be talking about my biggest window cleaning mistakes in this past decade. I'm not talking about squeegee mistakes or water-fed pole mistakes or anything really about tools. What I'm talking about is the bigger things that come along with our careers in window cleaning, and basically the things that I've really learned from that I've made mistakes. And hope in sharing these is that if you're going through some of these mistakes currently, that you can learn from them, see the light at the tunnel quicker than I did, and basically able to close down those mistakes and learn from them quickly and move on. So, first mistake, bidding. Bidding is probably one of the harder things to understand, the whole mental aspect of it, way more than the actual physical cleaning of the windows. Because what allows us to go further in window cleaning, or further in our soft washing, further in pressure washing, further in a lot of this different stuff that goes along with window cleaning, is setting the right prices. When I first started doing bidding, I would literally walk inside of a neighborhood, look at the front of a house, and just put a random price down. We had a little bit of guidelines, but I mean, it was horrible. Second place I worked for was all based on a system that someone had created that was never a window cleaner, and it didn't matter the different sizes. It was just second floor was this, first floor was this for commercial, residential, and that was not a good way. It was a system which was good to have a system in place, but the prices were so low and they were based on just kind of crap work. Example would be fish window cleaning, basically. But then starting to work for Jim, becoming a co-owner, understanding all of the different taxes and the different fees that come out with having employees, really started to help me understand why your prices need to be right on. You have to be really good at bidding. You have to get good at bidding quick, and you have to understand kind of your surroundings and where you live and what are the prices around your area. We live in an area right now that's thriving consistently over the past decade, really. And prices have gone up, and I think when you know that you're getting good at bidding and that you're confident in your bidding, is that you'll go to a bid and you're not, if the customer says to you, oh, well, I'm looking for a good price, my answer is, well, we're not going to be the cheapest, so if you're looking for that, we're not the company for you. That's literally what I will say to people when they say that. And I have had people that I have bidded their business or home be very rude about it, and you have to know your worth. A lot of people say that, but you have to know your worth, and knowing your worth is the most important thing when learning how to bid. So I'd really say that that was probably my biggest mistake that I have made on a consistent basis, that in this past year I really got that mindset of, you know what, if they don't like the price, too bad, because to grow a business, you got to make money. You know what I'm saying? You can't be a charity. And some of these people, they don't understand with window cleaning how much goes into it. And that's a really hard thing to get some people to understand, because they just say, oh, well, it's simple, easy job. And it's not. It's not. There's a lot that goes into it, especially when cleaning homes, when cleaning businesses. There's a lot to learn. So understand your worth. If you have questions about bidding, message me on Facebook or Instagram. Sometimes it's hard with bidding, because sometimes I get calls for people even inside my state to bid buildings inside my state, and that's a little bit weird with competition around. But to get away from that, just if you're having trouble bidding, there's a lot of great videos out there. I'm going to be putting a lot more out this year about bidding, not particularly what I would bid on a job, but just guidelines. So number 2, trying to control employees or other coworkers on what they do with the squeegee or what they do overall when they're actually cleaning windows. I think this is a thing that many people suffer with from the beginning of opening a business, especially, is trying to control every aspect, which is good. You need systems in place, right? But I have learned over time, many people clean windows very differently. Usually, the outcome is pretty much the same. You need to have basic guidelines of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, but you need to also accept that most of the time, another window cleaner who's either a veteran or who's just learning and has a few months to 6 months of learning, they're probably going to clean different than you. Their hand placement might be different than you. The way they mop a window might be different than you. They may take more time at doing this than you or less time than doing this than you. But it's important to understand not to try to control every single employee on every single thing that they do when cleaning windows. You need to look at it as an overall product, right? And it's a big thing. When I worked as a manager at Fish, I'll share with you a very embarrassing story. I got into a straight fist fight with a guy because he was already on edge, but I was in this idea that everything had to be fanned. The people that I was working for really put on me because I was a manager that you need to really make sure these guys are doing what you know is right. They thought I was the best window cleaner. They really, really did. It was crazy. I'd only been working there for a year, and it showed me like, wow, these people really don't know what they're talking about. Because if they're thinking I'm the best after a year that they've had, that's just insane. And I knew I wasn't. But it got this thing in my mind of making sure that guys were always fanning. I was just like locked onto it. And literally at a job at a huge town center, I got into an altercation with another employee when I worked there, where I told him, I said, you need to be doing the windows right. You need to fan. How wrong I was, like he was doing straight pulls. He was doing them really, really crappy. Like he was just, and it looked like crap. But I could have sat down with him, explained a couple different techniques, and it could have gone a lot better. But my ego, when I was young, especially this is the beginning of this decade, my ego needed to be checked. You know what I'm saying? And that was a big thing that I learned was do not try to control others. There's things that I see others do that I cringe at, but then I look at the overall product and it's good. The customer loves it, and that's the main thing, is the customer happy. If the customer isn't happy, then you got to change it, right? And if it's consistently a problem, you got to change it. But don't try to control every single move of your employees. Give them a little bit of freedom, and I think overall you'll find that they're happier. So let's talk about the third one. The third one would be overthinking. Huge thing I did when I first started really working on my own a lot more is I was overthinking every job. Thinking that if I don't do this, if I don't do that, they're going to call and then I'm going to get in trouble. I was always in fear of getting in trouble. I don't know why. That's kind of something that I think from my childhood, and it's not even from how my parents were. It's just always in my mind. I'm always scared to scratch a window or do things. There's just a certain paranoia I have with certain things with work. And it translated really bad when I first started window cleaning, because I would go into a home and on our little invoice that we used to have at Fish, it would say, this does not include removing debris such as paint, silicone, blah, 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 blah. It was a very simple window cleaning. All you had to do was white pad, and the person who owned the Fish would back you up and be fine. But I would overthink it, and I would say, well, I don't want to get in trouble, so I'm going to remove the paint, remove the silicone, and I wasn't making much money. I was cleaning tracks, deep cleaning every single track, and just spending, like, for a $150 home, like 4 or 5 hours. Just not understanding and overthinking everything. The biggest thing that helped me understand overthinking window cleaning was the guy who really, really trained me. He was not fun. He's a jerk. But the best thing he taught me was look at windows the way you looked at them before you ever cleaned windows, or look at a storefront as an overall product. Don't treat each individual pane like its own job. Just treat the whole thing like a huge window pane. And if 95% of it looks good, great. That's the thing on storefronts. You can actually have employees that aren't too great at cleaning windows, and they'll do a pretty good job at storefronts. Where you really go into overthinking, I think, more as residential, because some guys want to remove every tiny little thing, but you have to have a good middle ground there and not overthink residential and be able to really have a system and get out. And that's the thing. Systems are huge when you see guys that are overthinking or underthinking the job. You need to have systems in place for these younger guys that say, okay, you got to do this, and that with residential windows. You got to do this, and that with commercial windows. And that helped me, was creating systems for homes. Not looking at each home like this huge task. Hey, this home is no different than any other home. The storefront is no different than any other storefront. Treat them all the same. Don't give anybody preferred treatment. Don't give anybody crappy treatment, and treat everybody the same. And that helped tremendously in the idea of overthinking. But that's something you will do when you first start, and you'll get better and better and better at, is overthinking jobs. So I'd really say that's a huge thing that I learned this decade, was stop overthinking. Just treat every job like the same. Even construction cleans. Construction cleans used to freak me out. And now I treat it with the system, and I try to do the best I can, but that's it. I would say another one would be getting to know your customers. This was something that has changed dramatically for me, especially in the past, I'd say, year and a half, is that don't be the worker bee that just wants to show off when you're cleaning windows. Be able to clean windows and talk to your customers at the same time. It will create such a better relationship, and over time grow your business in the best way possible, which is word of mouth. Word of mouth will come from doing a good job, but word of mouth really comes from being relatable to your customers. And that's extremely, extremely important thing that I think the generation that's following us and my generation don't understand. We're so attached to our social media. We're so attached to our phones and what's going on with us. We got an Apple Watch here. We got a phone in our pocket. We got an iPad in our car. We got a laptop at home. We got TV. We got this, and that. Always distracting us from actually interacting with people. And I became definitely a person like that. Put on my music, rock out, don't talk to the customer, just show them that I'm a badass window cleaner. Nobody cares about how badass of a window cleaner you are. Do you care about how badass of a guy who works in an office and writes code? You don't care about that. All you care about is the product, right? And that guy's a nice guy. You can care less what they do at work. You know, that's what I think is so funny sometimes about putting out this stuff, is like window cleaners think it's cool, right? But anybody else watching this is like, what? Like family members who know me or family members, you know, who see this stuff. My mom and dad, of course, are always nice about it and, you know, think it's great, but that's your mom and dad. But people who don't know are kind of like, you know, what? Like, what the heck? I would say this. In this past year and a half, Alex started working with us, and I started noticing Alex is great with people. I started noticing people were getting to know Alex a little better than I was. And I was like, I've worked here for 4 years, and some of these people I don't know. So I made a really conscious effort to start getting to know my customers. Not getting to know my customers and telling them about my day, but always asking about their day. Always asking about them. And I made a video at the beginning of last year, what is the #1 window cleaning tool? And I talked about that it's you. And I put that into effect this year, and it helped so much that by the end of this year, every time I'm going to a customer or anything, we're always talking. You may ask yourself, well, Steve, that doesn't make sense because, you know, you're an owner, so don't you know these customers real well? Yes, but Jim has owned this company since 99. I came in 2016, 2017 as an owner. So it's a lot different because they know him, they have to get to know me, right? So I would say that was one of my biggest mistakes in this past decade, was being a worker bee, not taking the time to get to know customers, and in the past year and a half have really done that a lot more. And oh my gosh, it's helped so much. Just the day so much more comfortable. It doesn't feel like work. You know, I got friends all over the place, basically. That's how it kind of feels. So if you're struggling with that, take a step back, talk to your customers more, talk to the people that are around you more when you're working. And I'll tell you, word of mouth has been proven still with all these CRMs and stuff to be the most effective way of getting new work. So why wouldn't you do it? You know, another big mistake that I think I've seen and I've learned from is don't be a penny pincher. Don't be a penny pincher in that if you need something, get it. And that comes back to, you know, good pricing is going to allow you to buy the tools you need. Like having a water-fed pole system is such a big thing. And a lot of people complain and say, I don't want to buy a water-fed pole because it's not going to work. So I can't get close to the glass and it's not going to work well. And oh man, it makes the business so much easier. It makes houses so much easier. It makes things just so much easier. There's nothing really you can't get except for high-rise stuff. So it makes it so easy. But invest in the right squeegee. I see so many guys buy their squeegees from Home Depot. There's so much better equipment out there, and so many guys do it. And that's where they'll start, which I get. But after that, move into some finer tools. I'd have to say right now, I think I'm at like the peak of like having really nice tools and feeling like every day I go out is like such a breeze because of having the best tools. And that's what my passion is with this channel, right? Tools and techniques. That having the right tools is so important. I think the biggest person that I influence on that in this decade, I would have to say, would be Luke. I remember talking to Luke a long time ago, and I think Luke was really unsure about getting a water-fed pole, and I think he had a lot of other people telling him too he needed to get it. But look at him; he got a water-fed pole, and I think it helped. I think it helped grow his business in a way. You know, he done a lot of other things to grow his business. Very smart, but I think water-fed pole gives anybody more the confidence to do more things, to do larger commercial buildings. Your ideas just start expanding, right? But don't be cheap on your tools. Get the right tools. It's what's helped me become a great window cleaner. A lot of window cleaners think the tools don't make you a greater window cleaner. I would say the tools would definitely make you a better window cleaner. If I did not have some of the tools I have, I would not be capable of doing some of the things I do. I know that. Like high pole work with the carbon fiber pole is so much easier than with a aluminum pole. So invest and don't be a penny pincher. My final mistake of the decade would be, and to tell to you, and this has kind of been talked about a little bit, but stop thinking you're the best window cleaner. Leave your ego somewhere else, not at work. Don't be rude to other window cleaners. When you see another window cleaner in your town, be nice. You know, window cleaning sometimes can be a lonely job, and it's very important that when you see other window cleaners, talk to them. Why do I say window cleaning is lonely? Most of the time you're by yourself, even if you're on the job with other guys. Most of the time, you guys are working pretty hard to get that job done. There's not a lot of talking. And we don't get to be in an office setting and talk to a bunch of people. So when you see other window cleaners out there, be nice to them, talk to them, interact with them. When people are asking about techniques, like on pro window cleaning forum and stuff, treat them nicely. If you think you're the best window cleaner out there, you're probably not. I don't think I am. None of the guys I interact with think they are. It's just we all have a job, and we're just trying to make more and more money every year, grow within ourselves every year, and to get stuck on that you're the best window cleaner is just stupid. It's really stupid, and do not be that person. Do not be that person. Do not be the person where you get hired on at some other company and you come in thinking, I'm the shit, and no one else is going to be able to teach me any better. Because I know that I did that for a while. And I did that a lot at Fish. And I think I did that a little bit when I first started working with Jim. And quickly I figured out I needed to humble myself and just to be a helpful teammate, a good employee, and just hardworking. And if you're always working hard, whoever you work for or for your own business, you'll always do well. You'll always grow. This past decade, I made a goal back in 2012 to make a certain amount of money, and that I never thought would be possible with window cleaning, and I surpassed it. And to me, that is, once I passed it, it was get on to a new goal, right? But I've grown so much in the past decade. I look back at it, I reflect a lot on it, and the reason I want to make this video is because looking back at it, I realized there's more things I need to be doing, there's more things that need to be done, and I just wanted to sit down with you for a little bit today and just talk about some of the mistakes, because it's good to humble yourself, it's good to reflect, it's good to look back at things you can change, and that's where mainly this video comes from, is helping others. That if you're going through some of these things, hopefully this video helps you. We're always going to make mistakes with the squeegee, we're always going to make mistakes with water-fed pole. It's part of the things that we can't change at all times, but within ourselves we can change a lot of things and grow a lot, and I hope this video has maybe helped you and think of that way. Now that we're entering a brand new decade, I look back and think how much I've done in this past decade, so it makes me really excited for the future decade. So I hope this video has been helpful in some kind of way, but I'd like to hear what may be a mistake you made in the past decade or have made in window cleaning throughout your career. So comment below, and talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.